Alright, today I'm going to fold the seam on a metric tank. This happens to be a tank from an XS 1100. It's just a lot cheaper to put these pinch welds on tanks, so pretty much all the Japanese manufacturers do it. But you can fold it over and it makes it look a whole lot neater, a little more custom. It's not difficult. My tool of choice is a pair of linesman's pliers. It just takes some patience and a little bit of time. You will have to repaint your tank. You probably will have to do a little bit of body work, depending on how picky you are. I like to line the tank afterwards because you are putting stress on the pinch weld. You could have a pinhole leak, so I use red coat. You know, 30 bucks for a quart. It's good insurance. All right, we're going to do this and probably speed up the film so you don't have to watch the whole thing. Usually we'll start towards the back, and I'll just start bending this in a little bit at a time. I'll make many passes doing this. And I'll just bend it over a little bit at a time. Now, another thing that I do when I do this, I don't always bend it all the way over and hammer it flat, because you're just stressing the metal more. So I'll bend it at least flat with this, maybe a little bit of curl under, as long as it still fits over the backbone and you're not rubbing on wires or hoses or anything. I've never had a problem with it, and I think it's the way to go, rather than try to stress the metal a little extra to get it perfectly flat. You can see already it's decently flat, and it's just straight over like that. I'll probably bring it down a little more, but I don't think it's going to be necessary on this tank to bring it all the way down. This area might be problematic. We'll see. It looks like it was cut in the factory and then welded to clear some of the engine. Once you get it over, you don't even have to be over this far. This is almost 90 degrees. You can probably see the difference now. Start tapping it with a hammer. You only really have to probably be over about 45 degrees, but this seam is actually very thin in this tank, and it's really easy to bend. Now sometimes it's really difficult to get this bent over well, and it also usually is going to be more like a really pretty severe bend. So sometimes I'll leave this almost like this. I'll clean it up a little bit. But I did this tank the other day, and what I did is I bent it all the way over, and then I just left it flat up there. Once it's in, you'll never see it, and I'll have to putty this a little bit. But this is what it looks like done. You can see on this one, I pretty much flattened it out. I'll put some body work back here. It's not too bad. Might be a little bit of ripple right there. But this is what it looks like when it's done. Like I said, you don't have to hammer the crap out of it, to get it flat. As long as it sits and you can't see the seam and everything, it's going to be fine. So we'll see what this one does, whether I end up going all the way over with it or not. You just got to play it by ear and see what happens. We'll start on the other side, and then I'll meet this in the middle. see right here where it buckles a little bit, especially on any corners. That'll have to be filled. And then when I start getting towards the end, I just make sure that each side has been over about the same. You obviously can't see both sides at once, so it's not that important. That's definitely shaping up. I think instead of bending this over, I'm just going to smooth this out with some putty too, down at the bottom here. This is going to be a real bear to get around this, and I think this is just going to be easier that way. It's getting pretty close. And here's something I've done in the past I didn't do this time. Sometimes I'll take a little piece of leftover pipe, stick it on my finger, and use it like that, almost like a guitar slide. Actually works pretty well. This is especially good to get some of these little ridges out. You can, I don't know if you can see, but this side went pretty smooth. This one got quite a bit of ridges. Probably means I went too fast. Just little bits at a time, and they won't bubble up that way. Except around really tight corners, it'll still do it though. Well, looks like I may end up bending this all the way in anyway. Alright, I think that's about it. There it is, just cleans it up a bit. I'll put some putty here. I'll just put some putty in here even though you probably won't ever see it. And I'll smooth this out on the back. Now some people, instead of will take a tank with the seam and putty that whole seam. On like 80s, 90s cruisers, it's okay. But I don't know if it ever cracks or whatever. I don't like that. People are afraid to affect the structural integrity of the tank by folding it. I don't know, I've never had a problem with it, you know, especially if you red coat it. And that's it. All right, next time we'll do the knee indents.